Community with Closers. I'm your host, Pat Clark, and this is where closers are born. Get ready for high-energy stories, game-changing strategies, and the relentless pursuit of success. In each episode, we dissect the art of sealing the deal, celebrate triumphs, and explore the grit that defines salesmanship. This is the ultimate podcast for sales warriors ready to conquer the business battlefield. What's going on, Community with Closers? Welcome back to another jam-packed episode. Super stoked. You guys know we got Ryan Lee in the house. But before that, I want you guys, if you're just hopping on, you guys are just catching a couple episodes, you need to go back all the way to the beginning because we talked about our 10 steps to a sale. We were diving into a lot of documents, a lot of jam-packed stuff, nuggets that you guys can literally implement tomorrow. So make sure you guys are going back, listening to those, Spotify, YouTube, you know where it's at. But without further ado, I got my boy, Ryan Lee. What is up, brother?
Let's go, man. Super excited to be here. It finally happened.
It did. I know it. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, man, I don't know, just overwhelmed. You're here. I was on your podcast, a lot of fun, but getting into lights, man. I know you were trying to get me into some lights, but I want to dive into this because this industry with lighting, I got to speak at one of your masterminds, and dude, the talent that you have and the coaching and all the stuff that you're bringing to the lighting industry is just, dude, phenomenal. So let's jump into it, dude. Tell me a little bit about your background, how you got into lighting and like that journey and where you're at, now. I know that's a lot, but.
Yeah, I mean, I'll kind of just get back to when I got started as an entrepreneur. And it's interesting because my path, I thought was kind of just like this weird, unique path. But then now, like that's the path of everybody. It's crazy. So not everybody, but the path, like the communities that we're in, right? And so I got started. I was trying to just make enough money to get married. I mean, I was making like, crap money in college, like literally $6 an hour in college in 2000 and whatever year that was, like 2001, 2. And so I thought I invented the window cleaning industry. And I basically was like, you know what? I want to clean windows. And I looked up in the yellow pages at the time, and I went down to State Street and found this cleaning store, and they had all the window cleaning gear. And it was awesome. I got a holster. I got all the stuff, right? Knocked doors with my wife. That's what we did that summer. And we made enough money to get married. And it wasn't a ton, but it was like $15,000, right? And at the time I was like, we are rich. We got 15K and you don't. And that was like my dip my toe in the water. And I learned about entrepreneurship. I didn't really know a lot at that point because it was just one summer. And then fast forward, I went and got my marketing degree, got my MBA. And the whole time I was going through my courses, I was envisioning growing this window cleaning empire. As you go through exercises and stuff. And I was going to move to Texas and blow up this window cleaning business with my brother. But this is no joke. This literally happened this way. I went down there, bought a house. Okay. And we're in the hot tub kind of celebrating. And during this time, he was telling me about how he did holiday lighting. And I was like, I didn't even understand what that meant, because at the time I had like a 25, 30-foot section of mini lights across my gutter in the front of my house, a little tiny Rambler. And I was like, why would someone pay for that? That took me 10 minutes and it doesn't even look that good. And then we're in the hot tub. He tells me about landscape lighting. He goes, yeah, we did these 2 jobs. They were like $4,000 each. And I was like, what? Someone paid you $4,000 for lighting? That seems like, what kind of idiot would do that? Right.
Yeah.
And instantly I was like, well, if what you're telling me is true, I would much rather sell a $4,000 lighting job than a $250 window cleaning job any day of the week. And like, that's literally how we got into the lighting business.
Dude, there's so much gold that happens in the hot tub.
It always happens in the hot tub.
It always does. Like, that's where the conversations really, if you're at a mastermind, you're out, you know what I mean? At an event, hot tub's where it's at, guys. You know what I mean? If you're listening, go to the hot tub. That's epic, man. So, window cleaning. So you learned a lot, obviously, getting the job, right? And I talk about this a lot because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know about the business side of it, right?
Yep.
But you got your MBA. So jump into that a little bit. What did that look like? So you did the summer with the window cleaning. You're like, I need to learn marketing. Like, what made you get the MBA?
My father-in-law.
Okay.
He really put the pressure on. I'm not like the only reason I went to school, honestly, was I was the first one in my family to get a degree. And like I was a pretty proud accomplishment. I'm like, I'm gonna change our family like tree. Like
Yep.
I'm gonna like be successful. I'm gonna do this thing, right? And so it was important to me. And when you go to school, at some point you have to claim like, what is your degree gonna be? I'm like, I don't know, school. Like I just wanted to get a degree. Like, where do I sign up for that? And so I put down marketing. And I don't even know why I put down marketing. It was just because I was like, I'll do something business. I
Mhm.
like sales. Remember I had that opportunity knocking doors, dealing with people. And I was like, that's
Yep.
cool. I think that's marketing. Is that marketing? They didn't have like a door knocking degree.
Yeah.
And so I did marketing. I got finished with that. And then I was kind of like, cool, now I'm going to go get a job. But my father-in-law was just kind of like, well, why stop there? And he's a
Mhm.
big proponent of schooling and education. And I was like, well, I guess I'll do it. I don't have any, like, what else am I going to do? And I
Yep.
was kind of afraid to go out into the real world anyway, so it was a nice excuse to delay that a couple years. So it
Yep.
wasn't that I'm like, everyone has to get a education through the government or anything like that. My my view on education now is everybody needs an education. Like you absolutely do, but like if you got a degree from Pat Clark, you're going to be doing pretty well.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, it's a blessing though, like to be able to, like school, for instance, right? They're teaching those things you just don't know. And for like me, it's the school of hard knocks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then going in that and teaching somebody where you were stuck literally right there and you know what you got to do just to get out of that because you're in the weeds.
Yeah, and it was interesting because a lot of people are like, I don't need school. Like I make 100,000, 200, 500,000, whatever it is. And it's true. Like there's some people that don't need it. And I
Mhm.
didn't know like how valuable it was, but I partnered with my brother who did not have an education. I mean, he got his GED. He dropped out of high school and all that stuff. And
Yep.
so um then we come together and it was like almost kind of like the dream team at first
Hmm.
because he was like street smart. I mean, he's like MacGyver. He can just put shit together that doesn't exist, get
Yeah.
lights wherever. Like, I'm like, how did you do that? Right. And I now had like he didn't know how to email. He didn't know how to do the basic computer stuff. And I thought that was like basic because like I've been doing that for years. Right.
Mm.
And so again, now it's a little bit different. Like now my kids in middle school are learning the stuff that literally I was learning in college. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy. They're learning like Word and Google Sheets and all that stuff in like elementary school. And I'm like, oh man, that was like advanced stuff. I remember like flipping through the book learning that stuff. So
Yep.
you, there is something to be said. Like I did have an unfair advantage
Mhm.
when starting my business because most people that start these types of blue collar businesses are doing the school of hard knocks and just figuring it out.
Yeah.
And the ones who are, quote unquote lucky are the ones that work harder. They're the ones that ask more questions. They're the ones that take it more serious. And it's
That's
no
right.
coincidence that they're lucky, right?
Yeah. Success leaves, trails. And that's the thing is like they're asking the right questions, they're getting the stuff they need, whereas other people are just like, I'm gonna do it alone, I'm gonna go get it. So,
Yep.
let's fast forward a little bit. Got the degree, getting into lighting. So I want to talk about what did that look like? So you're in the hot tub, you're like cha-ching, right? Four thousand
Cha-ching.
dollar $4,000 tickets. You're like, all right, let's go. What did that look like after that? So what were the next steps?
So, honestly, like I just bought a house. I'm like, hey, we're doing this, and then it was just like, what a school degree and an MBA didn't teach you is really much about like how to start a business. There was no step by step guide or anything like that. So now all of a sudden, like I have some wisdom in my mind, but now we got to apply it. So that's when, like, dude, I didn't have money, right? I worked for a year. I kept my job. So I was a sales rep for a software company, and I
Mhm.
kept that job for 12 months while I was starting the lighting business. And that was like the best thing and the worst thing because it did allow me to at least fund some things that I wouldn't have been able to do if I just like cut it off. But at the
Mhm.
same time, it was the thing that was holding me back. And I couldn't go all in. And I went from being like the top rep selling this software, literally the number one rep, to just like a mediocre guy in the company.
Mhm.
And then I went to like, man, I know I could be, I know I could do more in lighting, but I don't have time, because I have a job.
Yeah.
And what was cool is when I quit that job, it was like so scary. Obviously, we had one kid and one on the way at that point,
Yeah.
and it was like, oh crap, like can we provide for our family and my brother's family, and now we have like 2 employees, like this is the real world stuff. And but what was cool is it forced me to make decisions that I wouldn't have had the courage to do. Like my
Yeah.
back was against the wall, I had to. And you when you really burn the boats, like that type of strategy, you will succeed. Like there's no other choice.
Yes. You come out swinging. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
You get resourceful. That's a lot of stress. I mean, like you said, right? You got other families that are working for you, and you're like, I remember when I hired our first office manager, and this was like, $600 a week. And we were the same thing. It was like, we're just scraping the barrel. I didn't know marketing, didn't know really business, but I knew how to make a customer happy, like, could sell some stuff.
Yeah.
But we really weren't making the money. It was the scariest leap. And like you said, you have to make the decision because you're at that point. There's no going back. Like you burn the bridges, you go. So that fear, but it's a
Yeah.
real thing. And I think, like people hiring and they're getting into that, they're like, it's so scary, it's kind of paralyzing. But once you do it, like if you put the people in place, the money comes.
Absolutely. And you know what? People are afraid to get started in something new, and they have this like imposter syndrome of like, well, like I don't even know what I'm doing yet. Like,
Yeah.
don't I have to do like 1,000 lighting installs to be able to like talk with authority? And like, am I lying if this and that? And like, here's what happened to me. I just like went on to Google and started like doing Google searches on landscape lighting, and there wasn't much, but I found out. And then there was a local training at Ewing Irrigation. Okay, these are like irrigation supply houses, and I went through their training, and I really took notes and I studied it, and I learned about wattage, and I learned about beam spread and all the stuff, right? And this was so cool. I started selling and I started being successful. And I'm like, oh my gosh, does this guy know that he's our first client? Like, what if he finds out? Like, I hope
Yes.
like
What if
this
you
is
find
crazy.
out? Yeah.
It's so crazy. And then like the second, they're like, do they know? Like, what if they find out they're the fifth client, right? And I started asking people when I didn't get the job. I was like, hey, what is there a reason like that you went, like,
Mhm.
you didn't go with us? And they would give us some feedback or not answer or whatever. And then I realized, I'm going to start asking people why they went with us. And I was like, why'd you go with us? Like, we don't even know what we're doing. And so many people, literally everybody said almost the same thing. They're like,
Mhm.
you know what? We really liked you. People buy from people they like.
Yep.
We felt most confident with you. And it seemed like you knew more than the other guys. And I'm
Wow.
like, did you, what did you just say?
Yeah.
You think I know more than these guys have been doing this 10, 15 years. You think I know more? And it's this strategy of like on your toes. And I'm like playing offense. And these other guys, they're on their heels. I mean, they don't have to try hard. Dude, they already got referrals, repeat. They're in the gravy train, momentum phase of their business. Like they're not trying to work for their business. And so just me being on my toes, being educated and like telling people things that I knew that they'd want to hear, that I knew that other people weren't, that gave me the competitive advantage in the sales game.
Yes. Oh, it's so huge, right? Like you come up with, and like what you did, you reverse engineered it. You said, instead of why didn't you go with me? Why did you? And then you started tracking. And it's funny because you're right. Like humans are driven by, you know, or creatures of habit, rather, right? And you'll notice that you'll have that trend of why they went with you. And then you're like, okay, I just got to do that one thing. Have
Yep.
buzzwords, say something different, become the educator, and just bring the value, high value, low risk, right?
Yeah.
And
100%.
yeah, and then it starts going. I remember when I was real young, because I was 20 years old when I started. I had to like wear glasses. I was like wearing button up shirts. I was trying everything, and I was tracking though. You know what I mean? And it's funny that you did that because, a lot of people, they don't, right? They don't look at the little details, but I don't know. I wasn't like a sales guy. Like, I feel like you had the sales training too. And do you think
Yeah.
that played a big part in like helping you with the confidence selling?
Yeah, it did. So, I mean, I had the sales train. I had done two, I think that was, yeah, I'd only been selling for a year and then I moved to Texas. So I had 2 years of that.
Nice.
I did summer sales. So the year after window cleaning, I like moved to college and I was like, well, I don't know how to like go back to my mom's basement and do that business again. Like I'm like at college now. And so that business was literally like a 2 month business. Right. And, but my friend told me, in Utah, this is like the king of summer sales. Like people come here to recruit because there's a bunch of LDS missionaries that are used to knocking on doors. So like pest control, alarm companies, they come here to recruit and they send those people all over the US. Well, I wasn't smart enough to go work for an alarm company or a pest control business. I got a job selling animated Bible videos. Animated Bible videos, okay, called the Living Scriptures. This is crazy. And I did really well, but like if I would have sold another product, I would have made literally 5 to 6 times more. So I
Wow.
made like 15, 20,000 in the summer. My friends who sold alarms and pest control were making like 50, 60, and they weren't as good as me. Okay. So
Wow.
for some reason I decided to sell these animated Bible videos. My belief was there, I was going to change families one video at a time. But I had a lot of experience from that too. I got
Yeah.
told no a lot. So
Yep.
um, I think I did. I think I had an advantage. I compare myself to my brother where he was at.
Mhm.
He's great with people. People like him. He's going to naturally be a good salesperson, but he didn't have the techniques. You know,
Mm.
he didn't have that training. He didn't have the exposure that I had, and not everyone has that. Walking into their opening up their business.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. So that's huge. You know what I mean? We'll say that's the cheat code, right?
Yeah, big time. And honestly, like there's a lot that came from that, but one of the biggest things was getting used to rejection.
Yeah.
Like ev- both those sales jobs, they just tell you the same thing. Like it's sales is a numbers game.
Yep.
You need 97 no's and you're going to get 3 yeses and you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So and you're like, "Oh man, I just had the last 36 people tell me no." And they're like, "Well, you got 60 more. So get it over with."
That's exactly right. It is. It's getting out there and and tweaking it too. Why'd you say no? Changing your pitch up. Then when you get the yes, you're like, okay, ooh, I did something good,
Mhm.
and just keep going after that. And it reminds me of that book, Door to Door Millionaire.
Oh
How,
yeah.
like you said, strategy, right? Like the verbiage that you're using, you're asking those things. Even if you're upselling to a customer, you know what I mean? What are you saying to upsell at a customer's, at a job? And then you figure out what works, what doesn't work, and then the verbiage.
Yeah.
So, now we're basically in the lights. So where I basically met you, man, it's probably been what, 3, 4 years now?
Yeah, I think about 3 years ago.
Yeah. So time flies. And so, before that,
You were like an internet sensation, and I remember like seeing you. Well, I remember seeing you online. You're like,
okay.
these, and I was like turning into one of these fanboys, and then I saw you at the Huge, and I was like, oh my gosh, there he is in
No
person.
way.
Yes.
What?
Oh, I got to go introduce myself. I got to get a selfie. I hope he signs my forehead. Yeah, it was one of those moments.
You're making that up, making
No,
that up.
okay, the forehead thing I was making up, but I do remember that all happening like that, and I saw you at the Huge. I'm like, dude, that's Pat Clark. I got to go introduce myself to him.
Dude, it's
He,
it's amazing what online will do. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. But
but the
I
thing is,
so
but you're right. Like it does feel weird because people are like, oh, can I get a picture? But like you have all this authority because like what you say is truth,
Mhm.
and like when you speak with power, you speak with authority, like you feel it. And so when you meet you, I was like, no, I want to be in that guy's circle.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be the average. You're gonna be the average of the people you hang around with. I'm like, I
Yep.
I I need better friends. I need better mentors. I need to be around guys like that. So I'm serious when I said it. I was like, yeah, I need that guy on my team. I need to go
That's
talk to him.
awesome. Heck yeah. That's funny because I was thinking the same thing with you. I'm like, dude, Ryan's got fire. You got passion. Like you're really like, you know what I mean? You're honing in and you are helping a lot of people. And so I'm the same way. That's so funny. But that's it. You know what I mean? Like birds of a feather flock together, and
That's
so
right.
it's really cool. I'm at the Huge, you know what I mean? And what you were doing and the passion and like the branding. And I think, all those things build up. And so, I want to talk about your program too, what you've got it, how you kind of got into that a little bit and whatever you want to talk about as far as, the coaching program, because I think that's phenomenal. The people you even have mentors now in there. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, man. It's been a crazy journey, and I feel like we're kind of just getting started too, even though we've been doing it 4 years now.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, it's crazy. Like people are like, man, this is cool what you did. I'm like, I'm not that smart. Like I'm not like one of those guys. It's like I'm gonna start a business and then I'm gonna sell the business and then I'm gonna teach people how to do it. Like, no, this is all just happening like in real time, you
Yeah.
know. And it's crazy, man. Like what I've been able to do recently is just so impactful, and it means so much because I'm basically able to reach back in time and like teach my former self like all these things what not to do. And
Yeah.
like, dude, be careful, man. Like you don't want to do that. Like, and I know because I've actually been through this. So again, it's like I'm not that smart to like become a guru. I don't like being labeled as that because I'm not. I'm just a helper. I'm just trying to reach back into my past and help solve some of my previous issues. It's almost like therapy for me, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been really really good. And yeah, we launched. So basically, when I ended up selling my business in 2019 to my brother, and that was a result. Like a lot of people are like, dude, I want to do what you did. I want to sell my business, and I'm like, what? Like why? Well, because it's awesome. I'm like, it's not awesome. Like, what do you mean it's awesome? Like, you don't know what you don't know. If you have a single location business that like has EBITDA under like $1 million, which is like 99% of the businesses, you're not going to get this huge multiple. You're not going to get what the amount of sweat and effort and everything you put into you're not going to get what you think you're going to get unless you got a rich uncle or something like that, right? But I didn't sell my business because I wanted to. I sold my business because my brother, even though at the beginning we were the dream team, it ended up becoming a problem because we
Mm,
didn't understand certain principles. Like I read the book Traction, and I'm
mhm,
not kidding. When you get to like whatever page on that where it talks about like accountability chart, and you got a visionary, and you got an integrator, and like this is going to cause problems when you implement it, and you might lose team members, you might lose partners. Like I wanted to cry because I saw the future and I knew
uh-huh,
that we were going to break up because I was like, oh my gosh, this book identifies the problem. Like this identifies why we're not able to get to where we want to be. And we started implementing this stuff. And my brother's like, this sucks, man. We didn't used to have meetings. We didn't
yeah,
used to be held accountable. We didn't have to, and it was like, I knew this was going to happen. And so it
mhm,
was like, okay, who's going to be visionary? And you got two 50-50 partners that want to do different things. He wants to go left. I want to go right. We go right down the middle. Well, no
mhm,
one's happy. Not
yeah,
even he's happy, right? Not even me's happy. So we did decide like, okay, it's time to like break up basically. And he's not the business guy. So I was really trying to get him to let me buy him out because then I would have hired a general manager, blew that thing up, done like 10 locations in Texas, like it would have been awesome. But he's like, what am I going to do? I don't. After you, let's say you give me a bunch of money, then what am I going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. It's a good question. So it was
yeah,
just the right thing for him to buy me out, and I kind of went, yeah, I kind of was like, now what am I going to do with my life? And I basically didn't know what I was going to do, and I started a digital marketing agency just because I was good at some of those things, and
mhm,
I had friends that owned businesses, and they go, dude, we saw what you did with your business. You got to a few $1 million in lighting, like you could probably help us. I'm like, okay, what do you got in mind? And like literally overnight, I had like a $15,000 a month business doing digital marketing.
oh, wow,
And the problem is I hated it. Like
mm,
I didn't want to do the deliverable. And I had like a friend, I was doing ads for him, and we got him 60 leads one month. And he's like, dude, that's awesome. And then the next month, he calls me complaining we only got him 40 leads. And I was like,
mm,
we only got you 40? Like, what's wrong with that? Like, yeah,
yeah,
but we had 60. And so this was like right before COVID. I'm at a digital marketing company. It was ClickFunnels. They have Funnel Hacking Live. I'm
yep,
at I'm at their event right before COVID, and I see all these people up on stage, and they're talking about selling courses. I was like, wow, this is so crazy. And I had bought courses. Like I had learned Facebook ads through a course. I had learned Google ads through a course. They
mhm,
talked about coaching and what are you good at and what's your passion and what are you called to do? I'm like, I'm not called to do anything. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. And there was a guy who sold courses on how to raise goats. And I was like, this guy's making millions of dollars off of a goats. Like, this is nuts. And they're like, what are you good at? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not good at anything. I don't have like that much pride in anything. Like I ride dirt bikes. I like ski. I snowboard. I like do water sports. Like I hike, I fish, but I'm not the best at any of those. And, then I started thinking, well, I've been doing lighting for like 12, this was 12 years at the time. And I was like, maybe I could do lighting, but then I'm not the best at lighting. There's people, there's better designers, there's better installers, there's better salespeople. Like, I'm not the best.
Sure.
And I hired a coach, and he goes, well, the reason I hired a coach was because COVID hit literally like 2 weeks after that event and shut down everything.
Oh
all,
man.
all my like half my clients just called me and said, hey, we don't know what's going on with the economy, so we're going to stop our ads, we want to fire you. And I was like, sweet, because I didn't
Yeah, you
like
didn't like
working
it
for you
anyway.
anyway.
Yeah.
So I literally now had time, and I hired this coach who teaches people how to become coaches. And I'd never done this before. I'd never paid money for paid coaching, and
Mhm.
I didn't even tell my wife. Okay, I was like, if she finds out, like, she would not let me spend this kind of money to hire a coach. So I just didn't tell her, and I was like, I'll figure out a way to make the money back, and then I'll tell her. And it was an awesome decision. I mean, it paid for itself like that. And then
Nice.
I told her, and I was like, hey, look, what do you think about this coaching thing I already signed up for? And I
Nice.
know I'm rambling, but that's how I got into like starting this coaching program. So
Love it.
it was a series of events. It definitely wasn't like planned decades ago. And that's where we're at today.
Love it, man. Okay. Well, I'm going to ask a couple sales questions because we're coming up on time. So I want to end with a bang. So these ones are basically, what sales strategies have you found to be most effective for growing a business?
What sales strategies, man? It's hard to narrow it down. I'm going to say this one, because I sell high ticket. I mean,
Right.
landscape lighting, an average ticket. My brother told me that $4,000 was his 2 jobs, and those were small. And turns out he was right. An average landscape lighting ticket's 8 to 10 grand.
Nice.
And so, like, no matter what, there's going to be an element of sticker shock. Like, it
Mhm.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they live in a $3 million house. I mean, I once literally kind of got kicked out of the backyard of a Dallas Cowboys player. His wife was yelling at me at the quote that we gave them. I mean, she thought I was taking advantage of them, right? Like, sticker shock is real.
Yeah.
And so one of the strategies I teach, and then one of the ones that I use, is called the price marinade. And what this does is it doesn't avoid, like, you're going to have sticker shock. You can't avoid it, but it gets it over with. And so it basically gets the sticker shock up front. And when I was taught sales, it was the opposite: build value, build value, build value, and then close the deal. And then, give them the price and close the deal. And so this was really foreign to me, but I figured this out over the years. And so what we started to do is just tell the people up front, like, hey, it's really expensive. This is the price. But there's several strategies within that. And then what happens is, when you then spend an hour building value after you've delivered the price and it's marinated, now when you go and deliver the price, it's actually much lower, and they get what's called sticker relief instead of sticker shock. Okay.
Nice.
And it's genius, because you can like screw up on a lot of the other like sales stuff along the way.
Yep.
But as long as they like you, like, the price marinade, just like, your closing rate goes up big time because you've overcome that. If not, what happens is people get to the end, they like them, they build value, and then they hit them, and they're like in sticker shock, and they're like convulsing, and they don't know what to do. And they're like, all right, well, we got to think about it. And then you leave, and so does the emotion, and you're not closing a deal. So if you can get the sticker shock over with a price marinade, which is essentially telling them a price up front, and it's
Mhm.
actually telling them a price that's about twice as high. So
Yes.
if I think their job's 10 grand, I'm actually going to say, like, this is like a $20,000 job. This is not an average house. You guys know that. You're not average people. Like, this place is sick. Um, then you can kind of gauge their reaction. You can
Yep.
also, when they're like 20 grand, that's a lot higher than we thought it was going to be. Oh, how much did you think it was going to be? What's cool about that is you just ask them what their budget is without saying what's your budget, because no one's going to answer that question.
Yes. So good. All right.
That's my
Love
top
that,
one.
man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one, man. All right. So in a competitive market, how can businesses differentiate themselves and win more sales?
This sounds so simple. The first thing that comes to my mind, but dude, if you just freaking answer your phone and follow up, that
Yeah.
is a competitive advantage these days.
Yeah.
Like, just call a bunch of companies for quotes and see how many actually answer the phone the first time,
Hmm.
not like later on. And then if you follow up with someone, maybe you're not good at closing, and they do have to think about it, whatever. You haven't like listened to enough of Pat's podcasts, but if you do struggle, like, just follow up.
Yes.
Because even when I struggled with sales, you have slumps and everything else, I'd call people, and they would be like, well, we're still waiting on these other quotes. And I'm like, man, how long are you going to wait? And people
Yeah.
would finally answer the phone and they say, I guess we're going to go forward with you. We can't even get a hold of anyone else. You're the
Yeah.
only guy that's followed up with us. Like, we really liked you, but we did not like your price. Like, your price sucks. But
Yep.
you were the one that followed up with us. So that that's
Mhm.
one way to make a competitive advantage. The other would be just honestly, like your overall branding, your presentation, like it's kind of a long list how to do that, but I think it starts with your branding.
Yes. Love that. All right. Last question for you. So, how can businesses effectively nurture and maintain long term customer relationships? I know you're good with this.
Yeah, I love it. So the year that I sold my business, we did $600,000 in repeat business alone. Okay. Now that's more than like a lot of lighting businesses do in a year just right now, like with everything they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's because we were able to maintain those relationships. So comes down to a few different things. Number one, you need some type of continuity maintenance agreement or service that you can offer them, because this guarantees that they're going to see you multiple times a year. Okay. So for landscape lighting, it's a maintenance agreement where you go out twice a year. It includes callbacks. So if they have a light that's out and they don't want to wait the 3 months till you're going to be out there, they can call, you'll just be out. Right. But with other services, you could easily implement a similar like maintenance guarantee, warranty guarantee, whatever. But you need to just have a continuity plan in place because
Mhm.
it forces you and the customer to have a relationship.
Love that.
Separate from that, I mean, dude, I didn't have all this tech and this automations and the software that we have now.
Mhm.
We did a lot of manual stuff, like literally like writing, like sending out letters, right?
Yeah.
We would like send out letters, phone calls. But now, dude, I mean, you look at like SendGem, some of these other softwares, you can do voicemail bombs that just automatically like would just after you finish the job, 6 months later, a year later, and they're just very generic. Hey, what's up? It's Ryan. Just wanted to make sure everything's good with your lighting system. I mean, if you just do these checkups, you're gonna. This is another way to do it. Be a competitive advantage. You're gonna blow your competition out of the water. You're gonna maintain those relationships. Um, I would just use those automations. You know,
Yes.
there's handwritten postcards, there's voicemail bombs, there's all sorts of things that you can be doing, emails, texts that just let your clients know that you care.
So much, so much. Yeah, I go back to 2006, man, and like my calendar book. You know what I mean? Like the CRMs have come so far now. It's
Oh
all
yeah.
literally like you're saying is like touch of a button and it's all done. You know, you got to do the back stuff and you got to spend the time to do and build it out. But there you go, guys. There's Chirp. There's a lot of things. So
Yep,
you know,
Chirp does a lot of that, and that you do have to spend a little bit of time. But the thing is, you build the automation once for now
mhm,
your hundreds of clients.
yes,
So spend spend some time doing that. And if you don't, this is the challenge because as entrepreneurs, we think we don't have time, so we
mhm,
just continually put out fires. And like putting out fire might be like, well, I gotta send that client a text, or I gotta send them a follow up voicemail. I mean, it's a good thing to do,
yeah,
right? But it's still putting out a fire. Like you could solve that by just spending like a 1/2 day a week working on your automations, and that's that you build it once and now it solves the problem forever.
yeah. I think somebody told me that a long time ago. Is like, can you just do one thing that will last like a long, long time, right? So like training videos, you record it one time, you only say it one time, but then they watch it over and over again as
Yeah.
new people come in. I love that, especially on the customer side. So what's next, man? What are you going to be at the huge convention this year?
I'm not going to be at the huge, man.
Whoa! What?
Yeah, no reunion for us there.
Dang.
I've been through this phase the last couple years. I got into this streak of not being able to say no.
Mm,
And it's easy to say like just say no, but like the huge and like some of these other places, these are hard things. They're really good venues, they're really good events, they're really good things. And so I was saying yes to everything. I was speaking here, I was doing an event here, I was setting up a booth here. And man, I got in a bad place, and like my mission is to help people gain freedom from their business, right? And all of a sudden I'm working for my business again. And I was getting to this place where I was years ago when I started my other business where like I'm working for my family, but like where's my family? Right. And
mhm.
so yeah, I'm very intentional now with like where I'm at, why I'm there. Just because I'm not somewhere doesn't mean I don't support it, doesn't mean it's not a good place. It's just that I have to be very selective on where I'm at. So for me, I've got an event in the end of August. It's our secret summit event. It's our members only. So you do have to be in the Landscape Lighting Secrets coaching program to be at that. But dude, we've done kind of one and a half, but
Mhm.
we've really only, like, last year was the first year. It was epic. We're doing it this year in Park City, like my backyard here in Utah. And
Nice.
we have speakers, we have breakout sessions, we have masterminds. It is so awesome. So you do have to be a member. So if you're like, I don't know should I start a lighting business? Like, of course, the answer is yes. It's just, if you want to do it now, you should join Landscape Lighting Secrets. If not, someday you'll be starting a lighting business.
Right. That's right. And no better place. Landscape Lighting Secrets right there.
Heck yeah.
Love it, dude. That's so cool. Yeah, I've been watching your Facebook and going out and, camping and riding dirt bikes with the family. Like, that's what it's all about, right? That's why we
Yeah.
do what we do.
It really is, man. And like, most people think, well, they don't have time. I used to think that, and can't afford it, whatever. But like, you create your own rules. There is no rules to winning this game. And so, like, I learned this the hard way. I've learned it through friends and mentors. A guy in my mastermind, Neil, he's been to 55 countries. He's a young guy. He just got married, no kids. He's visited 55 countries. He owns a cleaning business. And I'm like, he runs this thing remote, and now he's starting up. He's got like 19 other, like, franchises. And I'm like, that doesn't process in my mind, because I'm like, well, I want to do it the hard way. I want to be there, and I want to micromanage, and I want to do just the grunt. He's like, no, like, I just told myself the rule was, if I'm going to do this business, it has to work without me every step of the way.
So
And
good.
I'm like, that's freaking genius, right? So
Yeah.
I'm starting to create my own rules. Like, if I can't succeed and build my vision, my dream
Mhm.
within my rules, then I shouldn't be doing this. I need to do something else.
Yep. That's gold, man. Gold right there. Well, dude, I really appreciate you being on. It's
Thanks
always,
for having me.
yeah, man, for sure. And if you need a speaker at your summit, let me know. That
I
sounds
probably just forgot to send the text.
love it, dude. Love it. Awesome, man. Well, thanks again, everybody, guys. Where can they go and find out more about the coaching program and your stuff?
Yeah, honestly, I got a few different things. I mean, if you're just not sure about landscape lighting, I do have a free Facebook group. It's called Landscape Lighting Secrets. So join that. Whatever question you got, it could be the silliest, most basic question you got. Just tag me. I got you in there. I do have my podcast, Lighting for Profits. Pat's been on there. That's, dude, honestly, I don't go back and listen to all the episodes, right? But I know, like, the value, because we have these types of conversations, and people tell me all the time, they're like, dude, I made so much money listening to your podcast. I feel guilty for not joining your coaching program. So my mission is, honestly, like, dude, don't let me take any money from you until you've made at least that amount, right? So go start there. Go to the free Facebook group. Start listening to the podcast. That's the way. I'm not here to try to sell anything. Like, go do that. Go make a bunch of money. Get your wildest dreams to come true. Then when you start to feel a little guilt, then reach out to me at Landscape Lighting Secrets.
Love it. Love that. There you go, guys. Well, thanks again for hopping on Community Closures every Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, for amazing guests like Ryan. Thanks again, dude. And we'll be talking soon, man.
Love it. Thanks, Pat.
You
Appreciate
got
you,
it.
man.
See ya.